As you might know, the headlines are screaming, markets are messy, your portfolio's bleeding, and your gut is screaming at you and telling you something. Today, we're going to talk about all of those emotions and things and how we should process them and what we should actually do when your portfolio takes a hit. Let me grab Walt, and we'll be right back.
Well, it's time to power up your retirement once again. I'm Walter Storholt alongside certified financial planner Steve Smith, and we've got a great episode today. Steve, people are nervous. They're a little frustrated. They're maybe upset. They're just maybe scared of what's going on in the markets right now. We've had so much volatility over the last several days, and we're trying to get this information out to folks as soon as we can. But as of right now, at the time of our taping today, I think we're in kind of our fourth straight day of kind of big downfall in the market numbers and in the data. So it's got, again, people a little bit nervous, a little bit concerned. So we're turning to you for a little advice and guidance on how to kind of navigate through these kinds of situations right now. Before we dive into the nitty and gritty and talking about what we should do in market drops like this and maybe giving some actionable items, I just want to check in on you first. I know that it's individual investors who, we obviously talk about and try to help on the show, but you're a financial advisor. I know these times are stressful for you when you're glued to the market and watching everything happen.
Yeah, things are well. I get very myopic when it comes to these times. Kind of everything in my life kind of melts away because I want to make sure that I have extra time and capacity to take on all of your questions out there from our clients and viewers, and also process everything that's going on in markets so that I can clearly explain. So yes, it's a busy time. It's an emotional time. It's when I really have to be engaged at the highest level, really is when that market is being volatile.
Yeah. We can give the advice to other folks to turn off the TV, unplug, stick your head in the sand if you need to avoid that stress and staying in the know. But that's your job. You got to stay in the know. So we appreciate you doing that and keeping on top of things for us. So let's turn the perspective to your clients and to the folks that you're just talking with on a daily basis, even if they're not current clients for you. How are they reacting to everything that's happened over the last couple of days?
Well, clients it's a broad spectrum. Some are like, set it and forget it. You've got this. That's why I hired you to manage this and all of that. Just wanted to hear you say it's going to be okay and a short explanation of what's going on. To people that are completely, panicked. Hey, my friend said this. And I don't need to spread the lies any further by saying all of it. But the point is that a lot of misinformation is out there as well that creates a lot of fear. So a lot of times I'm just helping correct what someone might have heard around the water cooler or misinterpreted off the news. So it's just the broad spectrum from people that are just completely fine, understand that it's part of the process, to people that are, having to get over some of the fear that they're encountering.
Yeah. Well, to help folks, we've assembled 4 questions that you can kind of ask yourself or maybe discuss with your financial advisor if you have one, to hopefully bring some clarity to what you're going through, understanding kind of what's happening in the economy right now, and hopefully get the big picture of your own financial life back under control, or at least back into the right perspective. And so we'll kind of walk you through those questions and those things that you need to do during a time like this. A market drop creates opportunities to do some of these check-ins with ourselves. And I know that's one way that you kind of take a bit of a positive approach to when we experience this volatility, is to look at it as an opportunity, whether that's to reinvest or just reset or just kind of self-reflect. Let's make the most out of what seems like a bad short-term situation here.
Yeah, that gut check is really important. And your gut check is a collection of all of your past experiences with the market. And maybe we can't dive into all of that. Just know that the things you've gone through, the younger you are, you've gone through less with market trends over time. And the more you experience, the more you have to go off of. So that's part of it. But I will tell everybody something that applies to everybody when it comes to this gut check. Just know that the financial plan that we put together for you was made to weather these volatile things. That's, if your goal hasn't changed, then I'm not sure why the plan would change, just because we have something in the news that's causing some short-term disruption.
Well, that's the first question to ask yourself as you go through that gut check then was, hey, when was the last time I checked in on this plan? Does what I have still make sense? What kind of filters do you then take people through if that's a good starting point for folks?
What we go through is we go through exactly what we went through in the beginning. What are the goals of the plan? How much do we need to return? How many years do we have until we get to that particular goal, whether that's education or retirement or the list general investing, a boat, whatever it is. We're looking at timelines and the amount of risk we put in and the volatility that it's seen, and just showing them that this from time to time happens. And the longer the timeline, typically, generally speaking, the more risk that we're able to take and the more volatility that you'll experience.
Well, you mentioned risk, and that's kind of our second bullet point here, right? Getting real with the risk. Because it's one thing, I guess, to say, my risk tolerance is X when you're first setting up a plan with somebody, and then a market crash might happen, and they go, maybe I was more aggressive than I thought. Maybe I can't handle this risk. So is that portfolio aligned with your risk tolerance? Well, it's kind of a theory at the beginning of the process, and things like the last couple of days help really put that to the test, and I guess then presents you a great conversation point with folks to say, okay, so do we need to make adjustments to that plan based on how we really feel now that we've been through it?
Yes, we do something, and I think most advisors do some version of this. We call it a risk tolerance questionnaire. When people come on board with us, they fill this out. It's like 9 questions, and they ask all kinds of things about these hypothetical things that could happen in the future, like what we're experiencing in real life right now. And the interesting piece is nobody really cares about risk tolerance in the good times. They don't care about it even in the neutral times. It just comes out in the downturn. And that's why we try to tune those into the downturn. If you go back and look at your risk tolerance questionnaire, if you have it in a folder somewhere, because that's when we emotionally feel that. It's always there. It's just we feel it in this particular time of down markets.
Yeah. So I guess the challenge is if somebody realizes they were a little out of whack with their risk estimates or how comfortable they thought they'd be through a drop of some sort, let's not emotionally or knee-jerk react to then that change. Let's recalibrate if needed, but let's not go crazy. We got to still keep that in check a little bit, right?
Yeah, an approach I use many times. It depends on the situation, but many times if we do feel like there's too much risk or once in a while not enough, usually you experience that on the upside, not the downside. But it's the same teaching moment. And we usually don't react to it, but we use that as a teaching moment saying, hey, when we come out of this, let's readjust. Let's not panic out the bottom, because this too shall pass. But when it does pass, then we can rebalance and restructure it. It's just a good teaching moment to realize that we took a little more risk than what we thought on the questionnaire and what we talked about in returns, but let's not do that now. Let's just book that for the future to get it back in check so we don't have to go through this roller coaster again.
That is certainly the key, and why it's kind of the third bullet point or question that you should ask yourself. Am I making the smart moves that I need to make right now? Can I be rebalancing? Can I be tax loss harvesting in these moments of decline to create a better situation for myself going forward? Now, I think a lot of people think that those terms, if they're familiar with them, are things you do at the end of the year. I've always associated like tax loss harvesting with something you do at the end of the year. Even rebalancing, some people think that, it's kind of an end of year task. That's not the case though, right? You can do these strategies anytime. And in this case, it's like situational based, not time of the year based.
We don't really have time of the year based in our firm. It's opportunity based. When markets are down, we take a look at it. We do look at it at the end of the year in case there's a name that we don't want anymore. It's underperforming or something like that. It could be your end of the year, but it's not just end of the year. And we also have different strategies. Some people like index type strategies where you can't do a whole lot of that, right? Others like like strategies that have, a basket of stocks, bonds, that type of thing. And then we also have, which we would do some of that, replacing, taking opportunities. Also, when markets are down, if you rebalance in a down market, when you're going to pay less tax. And if you wanted to get rid of a few names or reduce exposure to a few names, why do it at the top of the market, right? So it just creates an opportunity to pay less taxes sometimes. We also have another strategy that takes like a buy line, if you will, or like Jim Cramer calls what he does, the S&P oscillator. And he's able to raise some cash in some of those names that are kind of on your out of favor list, if you will, so that you can buy the great companies of the world when the opportunities come. So obviously that wouldn't be a whole portfolio, but take a little schnitzel when you have the opportunity, so you can use these downturns to really tune up your portfolio. And really it's a combination of all those strategies that make an excellent portfolio.
Yeah, it's a great point. Rebalancing, tax loss harvesting, even going back to the first couple of points that we covered about doing the gut check and looking at your priorities and goals and getting real with that risk part of the equation as well. Takes us to the fourth and final question that you can kind of ask yourself and help analyze, your financial situation as we're going through market volatility or a pronounced downturn, is to look at your unhelpful behaviors. And this is where you can't quite escape, Steve, since you've got to be in the know. But I think a good question folks can ask themselves is, okay, is there anything, these are a lot of things we can do. What are some things that I should stop doing right now? Do you ever tell people kind of like stop doing this or that during this time?
Absolutely. The doom scrolling, I don't know, maybe that's just a term my teenagers use, but the doom scrolling.
I think that's a thing, just kind of constantly scrolling the bad news over and over. Yeah.
It's like if you spent more than 2 hours on CNBC, Fox News, or Fox Business, that's a problem.
That's a good point. Doom scrolling doesn't have to just be the phone, right? Even if it's TV, that's your main consumption.
Yes,
same effect.
Or the alerts coming from all of them as well. On the phone, you can get it both ways these days. But yes. If you're on YouTube and everybody with an opinion that you're going through, because a lot of the doomsday type stuff can be in those ecosystems. So be careful. Don't do that. Also, another thing is don't check your balance like blood pressure. So if you have high blood pressure, you're probably taking a couple times a day your blood pressure. Try not to do that don't take the blood pressure of your portfolio, please. It's okay to check in on from time to time, but it's just going to wreck your sleep pattern. It's just going to probably wreck your day. If you got questions, you got concerns, give me a call.
Yeah, great points. And I think we covered everything well. So I hope that gives you a little bit of a checklist, a little bit of an idea, or at least some questions to be talking to yourself about, maybe with your spouse, or even better, with your financial advisor. If you've been through the ringer in terms of anxiety and concern the last couple of days, talk it out and ask yourself these questions. It's going to lead you down a better path in your financial situation. Hey, I've got great news for anybody who is an employee of a publicly traded utility. This is the show for you, as Steve specifically helps folks in the industry better their financial situations, get ready for retirement, but making sure that you're getting the most out of your plans. Go to powerupyour401k.com. You can download the toolkit that's got Steve's book and other great information that serves as a fantastic starting point to bettering your financial future. It's free. It's easy to check out. Again, we've got a link in the description of today's show, and it's powerupyour401k.com. Steve, any final words of wisdom as we kind of close out the chapter on what's been a rough week so far, and we don't know exactly what's coming next either?
Well, one constant of hope I give everyone when they call in or I call out that does work for one of those public utilities that you just talked about is the vast majority of them have a cash balance pension, which doesn't have interest rate risk and always pays out in cash. And if you're close to retirement or you're worried about it, you always have that safe bucket in your retirement. So if you've got some volatility in the 401k, just know you've got this other bucket that doesn't have any volatility. So be encouraged. Know that everything will work out.
Excellent. Again, we've got all the contact info to reach out to Steve and get some more information about improving your financial situation. Just check the description of the show today to find all that and come back and join us for the next episode. Steve, thank you so much. We appreciate the help. I'm Walter, and we'll see everybody next time right back here on Power Your Retirement.
All right. Thanks, Walt. Thanks, everyone.
This podcast is provided by Powerhouse Financial Advisors, an independent firm with advisory services offered through Parsonex Advisory Services, Inc., PAS, a federally registered investment advisor. The information provided is for informational and educational purposes only and should not be considered as personalized investment advice. PAS does not guarantee the accuracy, completeness, or suitability of this information for your specific circumstances. Investment decisions should be based on an individual's goals, time horizon, and risk tolerance. Past performance is not indicative of future results, and all investments carry a degree of risk, including the potential loss of principal. Any case studies, testimonials, or endorsements shared in this podcast are illustrative of individual experiences and may not be representative of the experience of all clients. They do not guarantee future performance or success. You should not infer any level of assurance regarding future financial outcomes. Listeners should consult with a qualified financial, tax, or legal professional before making any investment decisions. Parsonex Advisory Services, Inc. does not provide tax or legal advice. Be sure to consult with your tax and legal professionals regarding your specific circumstances. For a copy of our Form ADV Part 2A, which provides additional information about PAS, including our advisory fees and services, please visit powerhousefinancialadvisors.com.